Hello everyone, we're back with block 4 today. It is a simple square set on point by adding a corner to each side of your square. Can also be known as square in a square. I tend to call it setting it on point. So for this block we need to make 4 squares with opposite colors. So the white square, red corners, red square, white corners. The way we're going to be doing that is by cutting some squares and cutting them on the diagonal. So I'm going to take a square and I'm going to cut it diagonally to give me my corners for my block. The pattern I have is going to give you the size square to cut it in half, but this chart is going to give you all the dimensions for other blocks if you want to do the same thing. So we're going to be making 4 of the blocks set on point. So first I need to cut my block the size that it is on my instructions, and then I need to cut it in half once, corner to corner. That's going to give me 2 triangles. For each square I need to cut 2 of them, 2 squares in half to give me 4 triangles. Then I'm going to be taking my center square and I'm going to add a triangle to opposite sides. To do that first, I need to bring those, iron them open, and then I need to add the triangles to the opposite sides. When I'm adding these triangles, because I have you cut them slightly bigger than what you need, I don't need to be really worried about getting exactly in the middle. I got a little wiggle room. I just want to eyeball it to make sure that it's pretty close to being centered. So I'm going to go and sew these 2 on real quick. All right, so here's my square. It's slightly bigger than what I need, so I'm going to be squaring it up, and while I do that, I'm also chopping off these little funky rabbit ear corners that kind of get in your way when you're sewing. So I'm going to be placing my ruler, making sure that my line, my diagonal line, goes corner to corner. I want to try to have it in just, again, these I have to square up to 4.5, so I want to have that little 4.5 inch mark just inside my fabric line. Do my half turn. Now I'm going to be lining up my 4.5 inch mark right on the edge of my block and trimming the other 2 sides. So these are my 4 squares. When I sew them together, I want to have my opposite colors going across from each other and these 2 going there. I'll sew these 2 together, sew these 2 together, and then sew a seam down the middle. Okay. So again, this was my red and white square that the instructions are going to be following. If you can tell, I did a little bit of fussy cutting here. It just happened that the fabric I picked worked well for that. I cut 4 of these squares, so when I cut some of them in half, it gave me this little decorative filigree around the sides of my dark squares. And then my other 2 colorways, again, this was the block I made with my 12-foot fat quarter group. And then this was the block that I made just out of my scrap bin.